My posture okay?
Yeah.
Looking fresh.
Welcome to Medill Sports Talk, where we break down the news this week for the sports you love. It's episode 20 here on MST, and what a show we have lined up for you. New analysts, an exciting new format for our last segment. What more can you really ask for? I'm Alexa Adler, and today we'll be breaking down the NHL offseason, the Open Championship in golf, and our all-decade teams. Please join me in welcoming two new members to the MST family, Andrew Weiss and Doug Greenberg. So glad to have you guys here. It feels like forever since we've talked hockey here on Medill Sports Talk, but with the new season 69 days away, we'll catch you up with everything that's been happening during this offseason. First up, free agency. As we all know, free agency is well underway. The biggest signing has been John Tavares, who has left the New York Islanders, sorry Barry Trotz, and is now a Toronto Maple Leaf. Andrew, what does this mean for Tavares and the Maple Leafs?
Well, the big thing in Toronto is for years they have been clamoring for a Maple Leaf to come home, or a Toronto boy to come home. Steven Stamkos, Drew Doughty, wasn't happening. Well, John Tavares decided to change that, puts on the picture of Twitter of himself in the Toronto Maple Leaf pajamas when he was a kid. Every Maple Leafs fan goes nuts. And of course, you have the absolute dominance of that pivot spot. Austin Matthews, John Tavares, and now Nazem Kadri manning that third line. That's going to be a very scary offense and something that the Atlantic and the Eastern Conference are going to have to deal with for years to come.
Toronto's lucky because Tavares is a hometown hero.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, for the rest of the league, this is a very scary thing that Toronto is, they're really going to be up there now. But for the Islanders, this is really going to be a scary year for them. They obviously signed Barry Trotz. That was a really big move for them. But, you know, they say they want to still be contenders. I just don't know if they have the talent anymore. You look at guys like Josh Bailey, whose success has really been tied to John Tavares, and Anders Lee, who has had a nice little breakout, but I don't know if he can carry that team. Matthew Barzal, obviously a great rookie campaign, but you just never know with this team. The defense and the goalies are a little bit lacking, so they might have a little bit of a tough season on their hands.
Tavares has certainly been the biggest signing so far, but Doug, looking at the rest of the league, who have been the biggest movers and shakers of free agency thus far?
Well, in my mind, it's been the St. Louis Blues. They've been a team that for years has been very mediocre, just barely making the playoffs, not making any moves in the playoffs. But this year they went out and they bolstered that offense. They already have a very solid defense, very solid team with Jake Allen. But they really went out. They made signings on Tyler Bozak, David Perron, Patrick Maroon, the hometown hero. So they've made a lot of really great moves, and I think St. Louis might actually be able to make some noise, much to the chagrin of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially to see how Jake Allen performs in net. I think to me the biggest mover in free agency had to be the LA Kings. They decided to throw it back to 2012, signing Ilya Kovalchuk out of the KHL. It's going to be an interesting signing to say the least. 3 years, over $6 million per season. We still have no idea how he's going to perform in the NHL, and the Kings are getting old. This is a big gamble for them going into this upcoming year. They're really going to have to go for it all with Kovalchuk, Kopitar, and Brown all getting into their early 30s.
Yeah, I would say this free agency has been really interesting for the Caps because they basically got to keep their entire team together, which is incredible, other than Jay Beagle. Beags, we miss you already, but we've got Brooks Orpik back. What a monster of an amazing deal. And that big Karrlson contract, it's going to be really exciting to see what happens with that. But poor Barry Trotz, let's hope that Calder Cup winner Matthew Barzal can make some magic. But now we got to move on to a player who does not yet have a new team, Ottawa Senators defenseman Erik Karrlson. He's been strongly linked to Tampa Bay Lightning. So Andrew, what's been going on there, and why haven't they been able to get this deal done? I know this is your team.
Well, back on July 5th, TSN's Sean Simpson tweeted out that the deal was done pending a trade call. Well, it's been weeks later. We still haven't heard back from Sean Simpson or the Lightning or the Senators for that matter. The big thing complicating this deal is the fact that the Lightning do not have a lot of salary cap space. They'll need to move a contract like Ryan Callahan, Tyler Johnson, or Alex Killorn to find a way to fit in a superstar defenseman like Karrlson. The fact that the Senators are including Bobby Ryan, or at least trying to include Bobby Ryan's horrendous deal in that trade, makes it a lot more difficult to move that contract.
So Doug, Tampa of course is not the only team looking to add a defenseman of Karlsson's caliber. What other teams are in the running?
Well, there's really two teams that have been in talks lately. The biggest one, of course, has been the Dallas Stars. I think, like Tampa, adding a defenseman of that caliber would be a luxury for them. You know, I think they've got a lot of great guys in John Klingberg, Stephen Johns, Esa Lindell. I don't think that this would really be a necessity for them. The other team that's in the running is the Vegas Golden Knights, a very interesting squad, still going to be in their second season in the league, and I think this fills much more of a need for them. They, you know, over the years they've had folks like, or in the last year they had Colin Miller and they had Nate Schmidt, really good up-and-coming guys, but I think that signing Karlsson would be huge for them. He could be the first captain of the team, and you know, I think it would be a really great move for the Golden Knights.
So speaking of Karlsson and the Senators, we have to touch on the mess that has taken place off the ice in Ottawa. There's been all sorts of allegations involving communication between players' wives and girlfriends. Doug, can you walk us through the alleged online drama that is carried over from the locker room and now into the courtroom? Yeah, super unfortunate situation in Ottawa.
For people who are unfamiliar, essentially the fiance of Mike Hoffman was allegedly harassing the wife of Erik Karrlson after their child was born stillborn. Really just tragic situation there, and it's unimaginable that somebody would try to harass someone else because of that situation. You know, Hoffman's now been shipped off to Florida. They kind of tried to nip that problem in the bud, but as we're going to find out, this has just been the tip of the iceberg for Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean, it's been just a horrendous offseason for the Senators, who were a goal away from the Stanley Cup Finals just over a year ago.
Hard to believe.
It's crazy. I mean, if you look at the rest of the list of what's happening in Ottawa this past year, first, you had the trade that sent disgruntled center Matt Duchene from Colorado to Ottawa. He wanted to be on a contender. Well, he went to a team that ended up finishing in the bottom third of the league. Colorado ended up making the playoffs. That deal included a first-round pick for the Senators. That's going to be a really high pick that they're going to have to give up now. Of course, you also have the issues with everyone else and the Capitals. You have everyone else with the Senators, including the fact that they have onesies that they sent out having to be recalled because of a choking hazard.
Can't make this stuff up.
It's so ironic.
And you know, in my mind, this all started when they were in the playoffs and they couldn't even sell out their home games for the playoffs, you know, and that really, I think that it really kicked off everything here.
Sort of feels like they're cursed at this point. But finally, let's end on a high note and talk about the Stanley Cup champions, the Washington Capitals. We are the All right, I won't. Anyway, Doug, it's been quite the crazy summer for the Caps. Let's talk about it.
Oh man, the summer of Ovi has just been a delight. You know, for me, one of the best videos that I've watched all year was getting to watch Alexander Ovechkin lift that cup. Man, you have never seen somebody with such pure joy on his face. That was, oh my God, he just had the purest joy, and the party has not stopped since then. He has been everywhere. He's been doing keg stands out of the cup.
Eating caviar.
Eating caviar out of the cup. You know, the Putin credit card getting swiped a lot this time of year. But you know, a lot of great players have been having a lot of fun with it. TJ Oshie among them as well.
Oh God, that amazing beer flip! I love it. I gotta say, something that's so incredible about the Caps is that, you know, DC has been dying for a championship. Waited over 20 years to get this, to have a citywide celebration, and this is our first Stanley Cup. And the fact that the Caps were out there partying with the fans, sharing it with DC, that shows you these are good guys that love DC as much as DC loves them. So finally, it's never too early to ask, as they chanted during their celebration parade, back to back, is this a team that could make another run at the Cup next year?
Well, the issue for them obviously is Barry Trotz leaving, but you're including a brand new coach in Todd Reirden, who has been groomed for this role for the last few years. The Capitals blocked him from applying for other interviews in previous seasons. Now it's his job, it's his turn to roll with it, and they do add in a new assistant coach in Reed Cashman, a former Quinnipiac Bobcat. They're a very talented team. They have the best pure goal scorer of all time in Alex Ovechkin. Certainly possible.
What's cool about Reirden is that he's been around for a while, but he's not afraid to switch up the lines and play younger guys. And I think Barry Trotz deserves all the credit for the Stanley Cup, but I really do think that Todd Reirden's assistance with adding the new players in when older players were injured or suspended really is what made the Caps win the Cup.
Yep.
Well, we're just out of time for this week's hockey segment. For Andrew Royce and Doug Greenberg, I'm Alexa Adler. Up next, Hogan Davis, Matt Craig, and Kristen Keller will talk some golf and recap the Open Championship. Don't go anywhere. This is Medill Sports Talk.
Wildcats in every way.
Cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. Western University, the possibilities are endless.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point. There's smoke.
Welcome back to Medill Sports Talk. I'm Hogan Davis. Kristen Keller and Matt Craig are here with me to get you up to speed on everything you missed at the Open Championship this Sunday during your afternoon nap. From a leaderboard peppered with big names to unlikely winner Francesco Molinari getting Italy its first major championship, it was quite a weekend. First, let's dive right into some Tiger talk. Kristen, the Open at Carnoustie had the highest rated final round since 2000 when Tiger completed the career Grand Slam. What does it mean to see Tiger competing at this level again?
Well, honestly, I think we're just all excited to be seeing him back at this level. It's been such a long time since Tiger has competed at just as good as he has. So for him to be coming into Sunday as the leader, everybody on social media, including myself, was really looking forward to it. And honestly, he didn't do that bad. Although he had those 2 3-over pars on Sunday, it wasn't really a bad weekend for him. He ended up going even on the day and par under 5 for the whole tournament. But I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of Tiger coming here soon.
Yeah. What did you see out of Woods this weekend, Matt?
I mean, she said everyone was excited for Tiger to be playing well again, not the least of which was the NBC executives. I mean, ratings were up 38% over last year's tournament. And let's just look at the timeline for Tiger Woods. We're only 10 months removed from last September. Tiger saying that he wasn't sure if he'd ever play competitive golf again. He started the year ranked 649th in the world. After this past weekend, he's now up to 50th. And it's more than just the rankings. I mean, his swing finally looks free again. He was top 10 this week in fairways hit. That's huge. And if it weren't for a few blow-up holes that Kristen mentioned on the back 9, he might have been hoisting the claret jug for his 15th major championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a different crowd when Tiger's there. The galleries are bigger, the viewership numbers are bigger. It's just a different sport. With all of the former champions in contention, though, it was Tiger's playing partner, Molinari, who finished with the claret jug. How was he able to navigate the final round to walk away with the victory, Kristen?
Well, when you watch how he played, he was precise. When other players were making really small errors, he was the one who was really executing, which ultimately led to him getting the championship win with a birdie on the 18th hole. And honestly, he's just been killing it lately. He came into this championship hot, and I honestly just think that he's going to keep killing it as we continue on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think most people realize he's actually ranked higher in the world than Rory McIlroy. So, Matt, what had you glued to the TV, though? Molinari and Tiger battling, or Jordan Spieth imploding again?
I mean, I think the most exciting thing was definitely Tiger Woods on top of the leaderboard at a major championship again, and right behind him was Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy. Those are the 3 biggest names in golf, and they've never really competed head-to-head on Sunday at a major championship. But I kind of got to disagree. I don't really think it was an implosion this time from Jordan Spieth. I mean, it was a tough course, obviously, and he came in not really in great form. Since the Masters, he hasn't finished in the top 20 one time this season, and he was back playing elite golf again. He said in his post-round interview that he was just excited to be playing at an elite level, and I wouldn't be surprised if next month at Bellerive, he's right back at the top of the leaderboard.
All he had to do, though, was shoot even par on Sunday, and he walks away with his 2nd straight Open championship, and he couldn't get it done.
Are you calling him a choker?
I don't want to give him that label, but he's had the lead going into 3 different majors in the last 3 years. I don't know what to call it. All right, let's open it up a little bit. We're going to play a little game called The Good, The Bad, and Jordan Spieth on the back 9. Keep these short. I want your best elevator pitches here. Matt, we'll start with the good. Which is the best major in golf?
To me, it's no question, it's the Open Championship. The first one was played in 1860, which means before the United States had a civil war, they were doing battle across the pond on the golf course. I mean, the claret jug holds a special place in golfers' hearts. I mean, drinking wine out of that thing is a rite of passage for elite golfers. And most importantly, the person that wins the Open Championship gets to call themselves Champion Golfer of the Year.
Not bad. Kristen?
Matt, I'm really going to have to disagree with you on this. I honestly would say that it is the Masters. Like, come on now. There's so much history behind that tournament. It's played at the same place every year. And on top of that, you get to see world-class players truly shine. You have people like Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy who just really show up every single time. And it's a great way to showcase all of this great talent.
I love the Masters. I love the Open. But I got to go with the U.S. Open. I love nothing more than watching golfers, professional golfers, struggle as much as I do on a weekend. So it's so much fun to watch. All right, now to the bad. Who's your pick for a top 5 player to miss the cut next, like Dustin Johnson last week?
Well, I know you're using Dustin Johnson as an example, but if we're looking at the Bridgestone Invitational that's coming up soon, I honestly think it's going to be Dustin Johnson. Like, when you think about it, he really needs to work on his drive and his putting, and the course at Bridgestone Invitational really is a narrow course, and so he needs to be precise with his drives and with his putts in order to come out with making the cut at least.
I agree, but I'll say this. Dustin Johnson likes Firestone Country Club. He won there. He won this Bridgestone tournament 2 years ago, and even though you're right, his driving is not great right now, I like to see him bounce back. And this might be a hot take. I actually think it's going to be Francesco Molinari, and he is the hottest player in the world right now, without a doubt. But we look at maybe someone like Sergio Garcia. He won his first major at the 2017 Masters, and he's really been out to pasture, resting on his laurels ever since. And I wouldn't be surprised if Francesco Molinari is in the same boat, kind of just coasting the rest of the way. He's kind of earned it winning a major championship.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a hangover coming off of that first championship, drinking out of the claret jug. You couldn't blame him. All right, now the ugly. Which of Jordan Spieth's major championship meltdowns is your favorite?
All right, I'm going to take the lead on this one. It's got to be the 2016 Masters. Come on, he goes and he hits the first one in the pond. Then he goes and hits another one in the water, followed up by one in the dunes and his head in between his hands. If there isn't a better meltdown than that, then I don't know what there is.
That's the only choice. I still think Jordan Spieth is a pretty clutch player, and you just really need to look at last year's Open Championship, 5 under in the final 5 holes to come from behind to win that major. I don't think he's a choker, and I don't even think this was a meltdown. As I mentioned, he hadn't been playing good golf, and it was really tough conditions. The course average was over par. So for him to come out, and shoot 75, that's tough. But he has closed the door on a lot of major championships already in his young career.
You just think he's sitting at 3 majors. He could be at 5 or 6 at this point. If he could just close out a couple Sundays. There was the Masters the year after the major blow up when he dunked another one on 12 in the water.
Jack Nicklaus, 17 second place finishes in major championships.
Fair.
And Jordan Spieth's only 24 years old. He's still got a lot of wins left in him.
True. All right, that's all the time and all the shots we've got. For Kristen and Matt, I've been your host, Hogan Davis. When we come back, it's the big reveal of our all-decade teams. Jordan Klein, Alexis Colmer, Jake Riepma, and Darren Zaslow. We'll have it all for you after the break, right here on Medill Sports Talk.
Why hang around waiting for opportunity to knock when instead you can track opportunity down and knock on its door? You might ask, what's the best way to identify where opportunity lives? Here's a hint. Its door is colored purple. Northwestern University. Opportunity awaits your knock.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Why spend your entire life looking for some on-ramp to the road to opportunity when there's already a well-traveled path? So you may be wondering, what does that path look like? Is it paved with gold? Well, here's a hint. It's actually paved with purple. Northwestern University. Your road starts here.
Why hang around waiting for opportunity to knock when instead you can track opportunity down and knock on its door? You might ask, what's the best way to identify where opportunity lives? Here's a hint. Its door is colored purple. Northwestern University. Opportunity awaits your knock.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Cheers. Take time to be a dad today.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year, 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised.
Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Shut up and sit down.
Of Medill Sports Talk, and today I'm joined by 3 outstanding analysts. First of all, we got the pride of Western Pennsylvania. That's my man Darren Zaslow. Darren, how are you feeling today, buddy?
Joey, I'm just trying to get on base and help the team win.
That's right, contact hitter over there. We've also got Jake Rietma, the pride of Midland, Michigan, and the Division II superback out of Northwood University.
Jordan, I'm sorry I made you a liar by saying we have outstanding guests today, but I'll do my best.
And finally, rounding out our analyst panel is Lexi Calmer, who, after the show, is flying to Disney World and rocking some new nail polish called, and I quote, Bikini So Teeny.
Yep, I'm already anticipating the win, so that's why I booked a flight to Disney World.
As you can see, we've got our analysts in different places than at the desk because today, we're pioneering a new format for our show. That's right, we're taking a cue from executive producer Professor J.A. Adande, and we're doing an around-the-horn style show here on Medill Sports Talk. So here's the deal. Each of our analysts has selected their all-decade team for their favorite sport, and today they have to defend their selections against one another for points. Whoever has the most points by the end of the show gets coveted FaceTime to share their latest take or simply wish Aaron Zaslow a happy Thursday morning. So, without further ado, let's get started. We're going to turn first to baseball, America's pastime. And our resident 239 hitter Darren Zaslow has compiled his MLB All-Decade team with some familiar faces around the diamond, but the player under the most dispute is Ryan Braun. So Darren, you've got airtime first, my buddy. You have to defend this choice. Why does Ryan Braun deserve a spot on your All-Decade team?
Jordan, I can't believe I'm even having to defend Ryan Braun. Look what he's done over the course of his whole career. He's a .299 hitter, averaging 33 home runs per season, 108 RBI. Guess what? He also steals bases. He's averaging 21. There was a stretch from 2007 to 2012. He hit over 300 in 5 of those 6 seasons. Even towards the back end in his career, he's been incredible. That start is unparalleled. His career is unparalleled for anyone else.
Now we got to turn this over to our other analysts as well. Lexi, Jake, what do you guys think about the Ryan Braun pick?
Okay, so according to Ryan Braun, unparalleled career, I mean, sure. But let's keep in mind that what he's going to be most known for is not being good enough to switch P cups with another guy. And he was involved in the whole biogenesis thing. So that just taints his entire career, his entire ambiance. And also, I'm just going to quote something really quick. Let me put on my glasses so I can read it. The New York Daily News reported, his test was insanely high, the highest for everyone who has ever taken a test, twice the level of the highest test ever taken. That's your guy you want on your decade team? Guy with the highest levels of testosterone ever? Absolutely not.
I'm going to get on board with that because I think Lexi makes a great point. And Darren, if you're putting him on your team, that says a little bit about you too. I don't want to go down that road, but I kind of am. If you're willing to put Ryan Braun on your all-decade team, we might have to have a different discussion about your character. But some guys you could replace him with, how about some active players right now? J.D. Martinez, Mookie Betts, those guys are going to put up outstanding numbers. They're having MVP caliber seasons this year alone, and we still got 2 years left in this decade. Or go all the way back to 2015. Alex Gordon, World Series champion for the Royals, was a better corner outfielder than Ryan Braun.
Have any of them played more than 10 plus seasons and have a career .299 average, averaging 33 home runs a season? Alexis, we're not trying to pick the nicest guy, the guy that you would want as your camp counselor who you could go eat Doritos with. We're picking the best player in this decade. It's Ryan Braun, and to be honest with you, it's not even close.
Best player because he took testosterone, because he took steroids, growth hormones, and he was part of a giant scandal at large in baseball. Hello?
Who is the best home run hitter of all time? Barry Bonds. What did he do? He took steroids. Now, Jake, I think I'm a nice guy. I'm not trying to say that taking steroids is okay, but he is the best player statistically.
It certainly sounds like you're saying that taking steroids
he's getting a
is
pass.
okay.
Not
all right, with that, we are going to
Not
wrap up this part of the debate. I've got to give Lexi and Jake the benefit of the doubt on this one. Darren, Ryan Braun is the only guy on your team that's tainted. Everybody else is clean, and you've got a number of guys that could replace him in the outfield. I got to give them the points. 1 to Alexis, 1 to Jake, which unfortunately means Darren, I'm sorry, buddy. No points this round for the MLB.
Just terrible.
All right, now we're going to turn things over to our resident NBA Miami Heat expert. That's Lexi Comer. Lexi, your NBA All-Decade team includes the likes of LeBron, Steph Curry, but the player most under fire is Ray Allen, Miami's own. Why does Ray Allen deserve to be on your All-Decade team?
So in 2011-2012, Ray Allen shot 45.3% from the three-point line, sorry. And then in the following year after that, 2010-2011, he shot 44%. His third highest three-point field goal percentage was in 01-02 when he was quite literally a young buck with the Milwaukee Bucks. So his longevity is outstanding, it's unparalleled, and his efficiency is top notch. Now also, Ray Allen is known for quite possibly the best shot of all time in an NBA Finals. If you want to see it, just YouTube search Ray Allen the shot, it will come up. And also, when Ray Allen gets behind the arc, behind the three-point line, and he goes up to take a shot, you're in your seats, you're at home. Your knees bending, ready to lift you up off the ground. And when the ball leaves his hands and goes through the hoop, your hands are going up because there's no doubt in your mind that that ball is going in because Ray Allen belongs on this team.
All right, gentlemen, what do you
Come at
think?
me.
Does Ray Allen belong on
Dan,
this
this
team?
one, I mean, I know you're chomping at the bit, licking your chops over there, so I'll let you go first because I think both of us have quite a bit that we'd like to respond with.
All right, Alexis, well, first of all, it's a good thing that you got a plane ticket to Disney World because after this trip, you'll have some extra time at the airport for losing so soon. I can't believe you would pick Ray Allen on this team. Another thing Ray Allen is known for, other than his three-point shot, is how about the catastrophic collapse from the first half of his career to the second half. 99 to 07, 24 points per game. He was great, there's no doubt about it. We're looking at this decade from 2008 to 2018. He's been averaging 14 points per game. That's a 10-point drop-off. Guess what? He's a 40% career three-point shooter. Jake, you know who's better than that? Peja Stojakovic. How about Kyle Korver? How about Steve Nash? All three of them are better, and I know Jake's with me on that.
Wait, Darren, I need to go back on you because you said this decade. My first two stats that I came up with were 2011, 2012, 2010, 2011. So quite possibly, yeah, this decade. And also just the reading from the book of Bill Simmons, the book of basketball. Ray Allen, 62 on the basketball pyramid. All those no names you just said, they're not even mentioned in the book. I'll try looking for them in the index, but they're not here.
Look, you guys are getting way
Decade?
too caught up in stats, way too caught up in numbers. All you have to do is look at the fact that Ray Allen has never been the guy. Every time he's had success, he's been surrounded with two other players. I mean, in Miami, it was LeBron and Chris Bosh, and of course in Boston, it was Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. He's never been the guy. He doesn't deserve to be on this all-decade team. He's a great actor. I'll give him that. He was phenomenal in He Got Game, and most recently, Uncle Drew. So Ray Allen, big fan of him, but you can stick to acting instead of being on this all-decade team.
Ray Allen was not in Uncle Drew. That's Medill. I saw the movie. He was not in it. That was Reggie Miller.
All right, I'm going to call this one. I got to give this one to Darren and Jake. There were too many guys listed with better three-point percentages than Ray Allen, and if that's Ray Allen's bread and butter, then I'm sorry. If Peja Stojakovic or Kyle Korver, they got better three-point percentages, then they probably deserve to be on the team a little more. Plus, with the drop-off in the second half of Ray Allen's career,
no.
I'm sorry, but I got to give this to Jake and Darren, which means, Lexi, I'm sorry, but you don't get a point this round either. And finally, we've got the man with the oily hips, Jake Reba, to talk to us about the NFL. Not surprisingly, Tom Brady tops the NFL All-Decade team, but getting the most pushback is Larry Fitzgerald. So Jake, why is he on your NFL All-Decade team?
Look, Jordan, I knew this one was going to come under fire because this is in typical millennial fashion. My other two analysts have no appreciation for the body of work that Larry Fitzgerald has put together. They want everything right now. They just look immediately in the rearview mirror to see who's done what most recently. But go back to Larry Fitzgerald, his production, yes, some of it was before 2010, but among active wide receivers, he is leading in touchdowns, yards, and receptions. All three of those, I would say, are pretty important for a wide receiver. He's the active leader in all of them.
Well, here's the problem, Jake, is that when you look at Larry Fitzgerald, yeah, you know, he was good, yeah, he was consistent, but when I look at the peak, when I look at the ceiling, he shouldn't be on this team. A guy that should be on this team. How about Andre Johnson? Yes, Andre Johnson.
Wait, for beating up Cortland Finnegan?
Look what he's done in comparison. And when you look at the peak, take a look at this. Larry Fitzgerald, in regard to seasons where he's had over 90 receiving yards per game, he's done it one time. Andre Johnson has done it 5 times, averaging over 90 yards in a season. How about in total receiving yards, over 1,500, something Larry Fitzgerald has never done? How about Andre Johnson? He's done that 3 times. Andre Johnson was on a terrible team in Houston. He had Derek Carr as his quarterback. He had Matt Schaub as his quarterback, and his ceiling has been exponentially better. He's also averaging more career receiving yards per game than Larry Fitz. Put Andre Johnson on that
But wait,
team.
I think if we're going to keep talking about old guys that really should be on the 2000, 2010 list or whatever about that, how about Steve Smith? Larry Fitzgerald has said before that he's modeled his game after Steve Smith, that he was like a big role model for him. And also, if we look at Steve Smith's body of work, in the playoffs, Steve Smith has had better performances than Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, can we forget the TD in double overtime against a heavily favorited team? That was pretty significant. But also, why are we talking about the old guys when In reality, all these young guys in the league now are going to receive circles around all these guys because the numbers are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
He's also been on a much better team, Larry Fitzgerald. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's been to the NFC Championship. Andre Johnson has never done either of those things. He had Kurt Warner as his quarterback. He had Carson Palmer, who was pretty good as his quarterback. How about David Johnson, a top running back in the NFL? He has weapons around him. You put him by himself like Andre Johnson was in Houston with a horrible team. There's no way he puts up those kind of numbers, and it's not close.
Look, Darren, if you're trying to get the points by talking the loudest and the most, I certainly would give you the nod for that. But with your point about the quarterback, don't forget that one of Larry Fitzgerald's quarterbacks was Drew Stanton from Michigan State. It hasn't always been Kurt Warner. So I'm going to disagree with you on that point about the quarterback. Larry Fitzgerald has been a model for a franchise for such an extended period of time. He belongs on this list.
University of Phoenix grad.
And also, again, Jake, you bring up Drew Stanton, better than Derek Carr and better than Matt Schaub.
No, Darren, no. I'm from Michigan. I love watching him at Michigan State, but Drew Stanton is not better than those guys.
All right, before this descends into a quarterback debate, I'm going to call this one. I'm giving this to Jake. You got to respect Larry Fitzgerald's long career. He's been the face of a franchise for so many years. I'm giving him the point on this one, which means Jake, over the course of 3 rounds, has 3 points. Lexi has 1. Darren has 1. The tiebreaker for me to move this on into the final, I got to give this one to Lexi because Ray Allen has taken no steroids. Ryan Braun has. And also, if I'm going to let my bias slip into this one, I'm a Cubs fan. Ryan Braun might just be one of the most hated men in Chicago. Darren, I'm sorry, buddy. That brings us to the end of our first round. It was fun having you on the show, but as some would say, you win some and you dim some. We'll see you later, buddy. Now, it's time for the showdown. So analysts, Jake, Lexi, you've each chosen a GOAT of the decade for your respective sport, a player whom you believe to be the best. And in this showdown, it is your job to argue why your GOAT is better than the GOAT of the other sport. And since Jake received the most points in round 1, my friend, you get the first word.
Look, this one's really easy for me, and if you disagree, we've got to have a different discussion. It's Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. Everything that he's accomplished on the field, 5 Super Bowl rings, 3 MVPs, and let's not forget, he's done more with a dad bod than any of us could have ever dreamed of. He's married to Giselle, he's got TB12, he's got the documentary series. No other figure has ever represented a sport the way Tom Brady is. He's the greatest of all time.
All right, so for my GOAT, I have someone a little bit more respectable, better reputation in the world at large, LeBron James. LeBron James is the GOAT of this decade for the NBA. Not only is he just a kid from Akron, gives back to his community in positive ways, send kids to school, but also, yeah, he's pretty much supposed to have been the MVP ever since he entered in the league. The only reason he doesn't get MVPs is because of LeBron fatigue, but also who has affected the world around basketball more, around their sport more? Tom Brady for sure hasn't. LeBron has. Never forget the best comeback to Donald Trump, you bum. That's it. While in the meantime, Tom Brady's cheating and all this jazz, LeBron is doing it by the book. Yeah, LeBron is a dad, but he doesn't have a dad bod. He has the best bod in basketball.
Does have a great bod.
Because he cares about his craft.
All right, for the showdown, I gotta give this one to Lexi. I think that LeBron has meant more for the sport of basketball than Tom Brady. He has been the face of the league for well over a decade. Tom Brady, incredible, certainly the GOAT of the NFL, but is he the greatest of all time during this past decade between the two sports? I gotta give it to Lexi and LeBron James. So Lexi, you've got a little bit of face time now, 15 to 30 seconds to give us your latest take on the first win of this show.
All right, so I'm going to use my take to cool off the situation that's happening in Miami right now because Dwayne Wade is unsigned. Udonis Haslem is unsigned. If the Miami Heat want to keep their integrity and be the league who brings guys back, the league who gives Derrick Jones Jr. another shot, they need to step up, give Dwayne his money, give Udonis his money, because they have sacrificed so much for the Heat, for the Heat at large, for their championships. They need to step it up. Pat Riley, pay my guys. It's not Miami without them.
All right, beautiful. And yo, that's going to do it for today's show. I got to say to our esteemed analysts, happy faces all around. Y'all did an absolutely phenomenal job. And for the entire production crew, thank you so much for helping make this unique episode of Medill Sports Talk possible. To those of you that are on the road or at home, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to Medill Sports Talk on YouTube and follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Medill Sport Talk. Plus, if you liked this show format, please let us know. You may see it again soon. So, until next time, I'm Jordan Klein. We'll see you again.